What we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about, for just a few minutes, the campaign that we literally just got, well, not literally, I guess, because it was Thursday, but really soon we got back from. We got back Thursday night from our campaign to Rice Lake, Wisconsin. On our adult campaign, these are the campaigners that went with us: Lisa and Pat and Ange and Matt and Ray. Ray is not a member here at Arnold. Ray is Jim's brother. Jim, raise your hand. Everybody knows Jim. That's Ray. That's Jim's brother and Floyd. And I took a selfie with me in it and I put it on Facebook so you knew that I could be there, but nobody wants to see that tonight because you've got to look at me anyway. But I want to take just a minute and go over what we were able to do at Rice Lake Church, the church there. We were able to, I don't know if you can see it, but you see all this stuff on the side of the building? We were able to remove it. We were able to repair the front steps. We were able to work on some drywall work they had. As is my custom, there will be a movie for us to watch in just a moment. But with that, we did a lot of door knocking. There was a lot of edification that went on, a lot of building up, and even some cooperation between congregations, which is something the brethren here in Rice Lake really wanted to accomplish this week while we were there. So we left Saturday morning early. We drove through. It's about an 8.5-hour drive to Rice Lake. They fed us. I don't know how I didn't put on weight all week, but they fed us like kings every time. It was the preacher and his wife. She did 99% of the cooking. So thankful for her. I said, you fed 8 people really great, 7 or 8 people really great. I'm bringing 30 people, all these folks on the front couple rows. They're going next year on a teen campaign. So I said, whatever you did here, just quadruple it, and we'll be fine for food next year. Super excited to go back up and continue this work that we've started. We've just started supporting. His name is Life. You're going to see it. Just want you to know, his name is Life Verloy. I always want to say Verlooy the way it's spelled, but it's Life Verloy. He said his parents were hippies. If you want to know why his name is Life, there you go. Because that was the first question I asked. It's Life? Weird name. How'd you get it? He said my parents were hippies. All right. But his name is Life. Really great guy. We support him in the work up there. He works with his father-in-law. And we were able to do a lot of really awesome stuff, and that made me want to talk about Barnabas, the son of comfort, the son of consolation. I'm going to throw some verses up here. In Acts 4 and verse 36, we're introduced to Barnabas. And Joseph, by who the apostle was surnamed Barnabas, which is, being interpreted, the son of consolation or comfort. He was a Levite of the country of Cyprus. And we know what he did, right? There was a need. So he went and sold some of his property. He gave all of the proceeds to the church so that Christians could benefit by it. We get to Acts chapter 9 and verse 27. We see that Barnabas was one of the first people to take Paul the apostle, to take Paul before the congregation at Jerusalem. We know Saul's background, right? He was a persecutor of Christians. God really had to lean on Ananias to go over and to preach to Saul and to convert him. And he stayed in Damascus a little while because, rightfully so, people in Jerusalem, Christians in Jerusalem did not really want to have a lot to do with Paul. Barnabas was the first person to put his arm, that right hand of fellowship, we talk about that, right? Stick his hand out, shake his hand, welcome into the fold, and bring him to the congregation there in Jerusalem. In Acts chapter 13 and verse 2, Paul and Barnabas were sent out to go into the Gentiles, to go on these mission trips. And I think it's interesting in Acts chapter 15, 36 and 37, Paul came to Barnabas and said, hey man, let's go back and check on all these congregations we preached at on that missionary journey. And Barnabas said, that's great, let's take John Mark with us. Paul's like, no, we can't take John Mark. We don't know what John Mark did, but we know later on in life, Paul and John Mark worked it out. Paul tells Timothy, bring John Mark for he is profitable to the ministry. So whatever it is, Paul eventually worked out his differences with John Mark, but Barnabas was right out of the gate, let's take John Mark back. He'll do better, Paul, I promise. No, we're not taking him. And Barnabas and John Mark went off, and Paul and Silas went off on separate trips. But just look at the kind of evangelist and comforter and encourager that Barnabas was, this trip was a Barnabas trip. This trip was about encouragement. The congregation in Rice Lake, when we were there, had 7 people in attendance. We brought 7 people. We literally doubled their number. When I visited back in January, they had about 20. A lot of folks drive an hour to an hour and a half away to get here. The closest congregation is an hour and a half away. He talks about we want congregations in the area. I'm like, Life. I'm looking at a map. I'm like, what congregation's in the area? Well, there's one down in Eau Claire, hour and 15 minutes. Well, there's one over here in St. Croix Falls, 2 hours. Well, there's one over here, and everything's an hour and a half away. And he says, this congregation's pretty big. Life, how many they got? They got 40 people. Oh, there's a real big congregation down there, Life. How big are they? They got 80. There's a congregation over here, they do a lot of work. Well, Life, how many of those folks got? They got 5. That's the area in Wisconsin that we went to door knocking to work with, the area we're taking the teens back to next year, the area that we support. It is a mission field. People say, why don't we do more local domestic missions? We do. And this is why, because there's a need. Not just, we could do it in St. Louis too, but we have an opportunity to do this here. I want to show a video, Bert, we can dim the lights, on the adult campaign. This is a 3.5-minute video that gives you I hope this will give you a good idea of what we did, what we went through. You can see some before and afters. And as we look at it toward the end, there's some outtakes that I had to include because they were so funny.
Campaign's been awesome. We've had beautiful, wonderful people to work with.
And it's been a real spiritual uplifting here working with these individuals. The building projects helped a lot because now we can focus on the contacts.
So we power washed the entire building. There were big chunks of algae on the building. We weren't sure they were going to come off. Took a little longer than we thought, but everybody chipped in. We had some other people on Sunday from other area congregations come. They chipped in, helped power wash. There was a room that they want to turn into their church library. We got here and the drywall was just hung in it. Ray took over that project. He finished putting all the screws in the drywall. He taped all the drywall, primed it and painted it. Josh and myself trimmed out that room and finished all that up, caulked everything. And our last project was the stairs out front. I don't think they were on the list, but when we got here and saw how bad they were, we decided to fix those stairs. So we chiseled all the bad concrete out, patched it back in, Ray painted it. They look absolutely beautiful. So now we just need to get people here to walk up the steps. My favorite highlight from the campaign, met about 6 people that had quite a bit of interest in coming to church. So it'll be good to see this congregation grow. I also like seeing how encouraged the people here are and how encouraged we are by seeing a congregation this size and the work they put in to make this congregation work. It's really been an encouragement to me.
The campaign went really well. I think we did better than we expected. A lot was accomplished, more than we thought. We hit benevolence, edification, and evangelism, and we reached out to the other congregations, the community, and I think it was an uplifting and edifying event.
Well, we'd like to thank everyone for coming up and the elders and everyone down there for sending this group up. They did an awesome job, not only on the building, but also on the door knocking. And we had many contacts, and we plan on following that up. And we have more information that we're gonna hand out and continue doing that work. And we can't thank you enough. These people were awesome. They really are, and we appreciate them and love them.
Door knocking.
Door knocking was good?
Too, and everything of the door knocking campaign. All the door knockings. I don't know. I like that. I gotta go to the bathroom. Yeah. Can you please pause the video?
Lord, the people praise you. Lord, the people praise you. Lift you up and raise you. Lift you up and raise you. Because you are the Holy One. You are the Holy One. You're the one, you're the only one. You're the one, you're the only one.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
And the preacher and his family, they also have a baby called Elon. But those were my buddies. You know, they fought between me and the Matt. Where's the Matt? There's the Matt. Mason called. He was not Matt. He was the Matt all week. And I was recording him. I said, "Hey, what'd you guys think about the campaign?" And then he said, "I've got to go to the bathroom. We need to pause the video." I said, "Oh, that is where this. I don't know where this video starts or what's in it, but I know that's how it ends." Fantastic campaign. I hope you see some of the things that we were able to get accomplished. Absolutely incredible. I could go on and talk about all the things we're able to do, but let me just hit you with some numbers. Rice Lake, Wisconsin. This is an hour and a half north of Eau Claire. And how many people even know where Eau Claire is? That is like 15 more people than I thought were going to raise their hands. How many people ever heard of Menards or been to Menards? Eau Claire is the home place of Menards, and it's about 2.5, 3 hours east of Minneapolis, St. Paul. So it's really right kind of down in the middle of nowhere, but it's there, and you can see there are some really good folks. Life, his wife Stephanie, the kids. Mason went door knocking with me. Trooper, you can see him going up. He peeked in everybody's windows. He'll tell me if they're home. It was great. Fantastic. Loved hanging out with the kids. The congregation there's great. A guy who's not pictured on here. I didn't film worship for obvious reasons, and I only have 3 minutes to make a movie. But his name is Matt Lewis, and Matt is going to go to Jamaica with us this year. So we're hoping, one thing we like to do with these is build inter-congregation connections. Matt will come here and do a campaign with us to Jamaica. We're taking the teens back. Life's hoping to be back sometime this fall to give a report on his work there. So I hope this is not the only times we get to see these folks. In 2.5 days, we knocked 2,000 doors. I had planned to start maybe Sunday afternoon working. You saw all the building projects. Ray got that old room looking like a brand new room. It's really awesome. Matt and Ray were able to make the steps look good, but we just got there and we're eating supper, and Ray's like, "Josh, I'm working." Ray, and I looked and he's on the scaffold and he's already mudding. I said, "Ray, we ain't eat dinner yet." He said, I ain't kidding, we're working. Ray is a worker, and I appreciate him. We knocked 2,000 doors. We did 4 projects. We power washed the outside of the building. You could see how dirty it was. It's squeaky clean now. We repaired the front steps. We fixed that room for them. And we were able to go to a local nursing home and clean out their courtyard. So those are the 4 projects. 2 Bibles were set up. 2 Bible studies were set up. One was during the week. One was actually this morning when they had a visitor come in from the door knocking we did. Life texted me. I was sitting right there in the pew this morning. He said, "Hey, we just had a visitor come in." And I asked him who it was, if we ran into him. And he said he stayed for the whole service and has agreed to do some Bible study. So that is absolutely fantastic. 12 more contacts they're going to follow up with and do things. And I want you to know it was one amazing family up there. Life Verloy, you saw him. He is the minister there that we support. His father-in-law, Scott, the other guy who was talking on the video, he'd been up there for several years now. Is in the process of kind of stepping down and let Life take things over. But it's all one family, right? It's Life and his father-in-law, and it's one family trying to up there and make things work. And he just looked at me. He said, y'all are working. I just can't believe y'all are able to get all this stuff done. I said, I like to work. And even Ray told me, he said, "Boy, you ain't kidding when you said you're here to work." Now, I take that as a compliment. We don't go to relax and have fun, but when Ray Christian tells you you're a worker, you just put that on the top of the compliment shelf there, because that's what it is. And I said, "Well, Ray, it's like this." And I was talking to some of the guys there at the congregation. I said, "It's like this. On a campaign, I'm mama. And if I ain't happy, ain't nobody happy." And I see people chuckling who have been with campaign. Sunday night or Wednesday night after services, they gave me this coffee mug. It says, "Happy Josh, happy life." Because if Josh ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. I'm sure it said wife under here somewhere, and my name is where wife goes. You take that how you want it, but I will treasure this cup. Happy Josh, happy life. Because I like to run a tight ship. I like to make sure we get stuff done. We obviously had fun. We were trying to leave. We were in a hurry to come back home. And I get this text from Matt. He says, "You got to come in this coffee shop." Matt was sitting on a saddle. He said, "You got to take my picture." While I sit on this saddle, I said, "It's not Texas Roadhouse." He walked out on it. Get to make fun of him while he's here. But the Matt had to sit on that saddle. We had a lot of fun. We got to try cheese curds. They do squeak when you eat them. Matt bought 8 pounds of them. If the girls hadn't eaten them, you could go to his house and try some cheese curds. They do squeak when you eat them. We had a great time. A wonderful, loving congregation, and I'm so thankful and proud of the folks who went with us. I hope that you make plans to go next year. Next year's in town. If everything works out, we're going to be at West End helping with the Church of Christ, the Spanish-speaking church, the Iglesia de Cristo up there door knocking. So if you can only take off a day or two, I'd like to take the bus full of people over to West End every day next year in the spring sometime to help them door knock. So that's what we're going to do next year. We do these things a lot. We need chaperones for things. Evangelism and benevolence and edification are the 3 areas of the work of the church. And if you saw this and you're like, man, that's awesome. These people are awesome. And the Lord's church is a great thing. I hope that you're a part of it. And if you're not, I hope that you make that right tonight. I hope that you obey the gospel. If you're here tonight and you're a Christian, look at what 10 or 15 people are able to accomplish because they have a mind to work. Do you have a mind to work? Do you have a desire to do what God wants you to do? Do you have something in your life that you need to make right so that you can do things like this, so that you can be the worker God wants you to be? If you have something you need to make right with the Lord, or you need prayers for strength, then we ask you to come forward now as we stand and as we sing.